And we got any numbers there yet? I guess we're live. Y'all ready?
Si, senor.
Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your host, Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wackey Worx Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Creative Makers Podcast, episode number 3, with Mr. Matt Wackerly on the hot seat today. So,
Here he
how's
is.
everybody doing? How you doing, Matt?
Yep, I'm here.
Are you ready for the beating you're about to receive?
Don't be nervous.
I'm just a little feller.
So let's kick it off. My question to you is, why don't we give everybody a rundown how Wackey Worx came about? You know, just an overview, however you want to do it. Take the whole
Where I
show.
got started? How I got started, I guess I started remodeling stuff when I was a little kid, about 5 years old, helping my mom. It's, you don't do much then, but as you get older, you learn more and more and more. I got into doing architecture and drafting in high school when I was 14, and then started designing speaker boxes for the neighborhood kids and stuff like that. And we won a sound competition. Well, I didn't win it. We came in second in a sound competition from designing speaker boxes, and just kind of got hooked from there. I was 15 and started collecting tools and never stopped. And then kind of got out of woodworking for a while, got into tattooing, and ran a tattoo parlor with a buddy of mine for 7 years, and then got back into woodworking when we got a stable place to live and a garage and stuff to work out of. And 2018, I was 18. I went to a woodworking show and I won some some saw blades and got called up on stage, and it was horrible. It's actually Sterling Davis is the one that called me up on stage, and they didn't show none of that reel to anybody ever. It was horrible. My name is Jeff. It was horrible. It was horrible. He asked me if I like scroll saw blades. I said I like saw blades. Yeah. What kind of wood do you like? I like wood. Yeah.
Saw blade's good.
But that's kind of how it all came apart. And Wackey Worx, the name actually came in because if you're ever a telemarketer and you call my house and it's Mr. Wackerly, anything but Wackerly, so it just came up with Wackey Worx from there.
Wow, interesting.
All right.
Jake?
My name is Jake, and my first question for Matt is coming from, there's a couple of people on the panel today that have unfortunate hairlines. And if they could see you right now, they would see that you have the most impressive flat top. Do you have any secrets for us? I mean, me and Jamie are out of it. There's no help for us, but if you could help anybody out.
Actually, my hairstyle is a compromise. I liked my hair bald. 100% bald. I kept it bald forever. And me and my wife got together and she told me I looked too mean bald. And so we had to grow hair. And so I grew hair and I said, if I'm growing hair, it's going to be a buzz cut, flat top, something. And she didn't know how to cut a flat top. I did. And she was a cosmetologist, but not a barber. So I taught her how to cut a flat top and she perfected it. And here it is. And it's been this way for 23 years now.
Lucky boy.
Well, she told me if I ever went bald anywhere that I could shave it bald, and it just never did. So
just enjoy it. I guess.
Yeah. It starts going away, doesn't it?
Oh
yeah. Jenny.
Hi everybody. I'm Jen with Jen's Turn, and Matt. Jake had a little bit of a silly question for you, so I'm going to follow suit and say, Eye Candy Pigments announced their Pigment of the Week the other day, and it happened to be No Con Blue. And
My
I'm
favorite
just
color.
wondering how excited you were about that.
I actually posted to him. I actually instant messaged him about it because that's always been my favorite color. It's not red, so I can see it.
Just a little colorblind joke for the people at home.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. Just a little.
All right. Well, I'm Jamie from JP Woodwork. So you mentioned a little bit earlier on that you used to be a tattoo artist. So I've actually got a double barrel question for you.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
The first one is when you was doing it, did you have a favorite style? And the second part of the question is, did you have any unusual requests?
Unusual requests. So I'll go to the first one. Black and gray shading was my favorite because, well, I didn't have to go with color. I'll actually talk to other tattoo artists in the studio and be like, yeah, okay.
So what can you see? What colors do you actually recognize and not? Because that could be a train wreck.
Well, so blues and greens. Sometimes it depends on the shades of them, but mostly for the most part, it's reds, oranges, and browns all blend together. I can somewhat tell the difference. Like I can tell that that's a red. I can tell because well, my wife told me. But but you start to recognize.
So your
with
wife
the
can
shades-
tell you.
Hey, there's a whole drawer at my of Icony Pigments. I think I got 160 colors in there, but every single one of them has been labeled by her. There's actually a label on it to tell me what it is.
Hey, I had some guys wiring up air conditioner in the house a few weeks ago, and they're both colorblind. They kept going, Jake, which one's the green wire? Which one? So I had to go in there and like help them out. And I'm like, I wanted to make sure they had it right.
So I had a lot of unusual requests. Some I can say, some I can't. The worst one I ever had, in which we kicked the person out of the shop, was a woman came in and asked to have her baby tattooed. We thought that was just
Whoa,
kick her out of the shop. But
it's like love
yeah,
and hate on the knuckles or something.
no,
Not
she
a
wanted
tattoo of her baby, but her baby tattooed.
Her
Yes.
baby tattooed.
she wanted tattoo. She said, "Well, that way I can identify." And I'm like, "No, get out of my shop." We
Wow.
didn't tattoo anybody that was underage. We also took we were the first person to tattoo in Carrollton, Georgia, and we set the guidelines for the area. And it was always taking photo IDs and and then we'd take a picture of the tattoo to go with it and identify all the identification, everything. We kept track of everything we ever did. But there were some weird ones that people asked for. One of my favorite was a guy came in, and you never get somebody's name tattooed on you. It's a bad luck, and literally you'll break up. It just always happens. And he came in and got her name tattooed right there, and just huge, big, bold, couldn't miss it. And literally 6 weeks later, he came in and she cheated with my brother and blah blah blah. And tattooed a big thick, bold red across it, and put a red bold line across it that said void. So
Wow. Wow. Interesting. So going back, we'll get back into the woodworking here and get out of the tattoo part. But tell us about your shop. Tell us about your shop. You have a big shop, and did you build that yourself, like from the design aspect all the way up to where it is now?
Well, what I did is I sent off, and there's a place called Olympia Buildings, and that's where I got my building from. And they have a clearance section of buildings that people had built, couldn't afford to pay for it. And I went on there and I found the shop that I wanted, and it was exactly the shop I wanted, so it was perfect. You tell them where you want the doors, and you have up to 2 3.0 doors and a they wanted to put a 10-12 door in it. I wanted a 10-10 door, and that's what I ended up putting in it. My shop is 40 by 28 with 12-foot walls. It's got a 12-1 pitch on it, so it's very flat. It's 15 foot in the center. It's insulated really well because that's what I wanted it insulated really well. It's got 2 air conditioning units in it to keep it climate controlled, so it's 68 degrees year round. Um,
Mm.
I'm originally from the north, and I really enjoy cooler temperatures, and Georgia doesn't really have them all the time. So I like it in my shop colder. But yeah, it's a pretty nice shop. I do pretty well in there.
So, but did you do the foundation? Because that's kind of like what you do for a job. Did you design all that? I mean,
Yes.
pour it, erect the building, all that kind of stuff yourself? What'd you
So
do?
I poured the footing. I put all the rebar, poured the footing, dug the footing by hand, poured the footing. Had a neighbor come over and they helped me with the masonry, and we put all the masonry block up, built a retaining wall. So it's basically the masonry is a retaining wall. So if you look at it, it's a retaining wall, and then it's a 4-foot drop off on the backside. Um, Backfilled the whole entire thing, put a drainage tile into it so that way it would drain up underneath. All the storm drains up underneath and goes around and comes out portals on the backside. Um, we had a bunch of buddies. So here's the story. Here's exactly what happened. I ordered my building back in May. Okay. And right after I left the workbench conference, and I left it. It was to be delivered on on June 17th. On June 13th, a tree fell across the road in the middle of the night while I was driving at 55 miles an hour, and I never saw it. And I severed all the tendons in my hand right there.
Oh
And
no.
and and so my building's showing up, and there's nobody there to help me. So I went and rented a telehandler, and I unloaded the whole entire thing by myself, one-handed. My surgery was on the 19th, and then the building sat just on dunnage for a while, and I had a hard time still being able to move my hand and I couldn't move it up, and so trying to get things to hold things was really tough. And finally, they called me in November, and they said, "Hey, we're delivering all your insulation."
Mm.
I got no place to put it. So a buddy of mine, we got together a couple people, and we poured all the concrete on that Saturday. The insulation was delivered on Monday, and
Wow.
it was a lot of insulation. And so we poured all the concrete, got it all finished, and then we came back and I started standing steel. I started standing steel after 7 days, so it's kind of cured up pretty good. Drilled all the anchor bolts, got all the steel up, um, got all the structural portions of it up, and then realized that I'd probably needed some more help. And so I hired a guy, paid him $1,500, him and a crew. They come up, hung all my insulation, hung up all my sheet metal, and cut all the finish work done in 3 days. And I had a shop. And so then I called a buddy of mine from Florida. He came up, showed me how to change my house over from a 200 amp service to a 400 amp service, and we split the units.
Oh my.
Yeah, not like something little. And so we put 200 amps to the house, 200 amps to the shop, and put a full breaker box inside the shop. And then we ran all the wiring in the shop. Everything in there is run by me and my wife.
Mm.
So
Very
Nice.
nice.
My next one has to do with the construction stuff. You said that you were remodeling houses with your mom. Did that include framing and doing stuff like that? Is that how you learned to do that, or did you learn it whenever you want to build stuff as an adult? So how did that come about? And hold on. So anybody in the chat have a question for Matt? Go ahead and put a QQ in there so we can find it, and then and go ahead and ask away. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. So I learned a lot by watching my mom and some of the people that were there working with her and stuff. But I think I learned to this knowledge, and then after having to do it myself, and watching Norm Abram, watching. I mean, I was
Bob Vila.
seven.
Bob Vila.
Bob Vila didn't know nothing. Norm Abram showed him that.
Okay.
But after that was my show to watch. I loved watching Norm Abram. Wackey Workshop, This Old House, This Old House Classics. That was what I watched. And then, but learning framing learning your techniques of how to get square, how to get your, three stud corners and 3-4-5 for square and all that kind of stuff. That's right.
I was about to say
3-4-5.
like
3-4-5.
the 7-9-11, the 7-9-11 technique.
Here it comes.
6-8-10. 6-8-10 works.
1, 2, 3. Matt, what are you currently working on? Do you have any big projects in the works, or?
I have one that I have to get out by Friday. It's a charcuterie board, and I got to get the bowls done, but I got to get a charcuterie board. It's a 38 by 18 charcuterie board. 2 different white colors in the center of it, swirled, and comes as 2 portions coming into a center, so it's kind of like 2 coming into one for a marriage charcuterie board. Yeah. And,
how much do you need a charcuterie at one time?
Well, their family's pretty big, and so I try to make the trays pretty big for them, and they like them that way. So
very nice.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
And it's all the wood's made out of burl. I got it from Worldwide Burl, shipped over here.
Good call.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So my question is, on average, how many cases of Diet Coke, not sponsored, do you go through daily?
All right. So I used to be horrible. I actually started drinking some water.
That's a water bottle?
Yeah, it's new to me.
Your body went into shock, didn't it?
It did. I used to go through 6 to 8 2-liters a day.
Goodness.
Now, that being said, I engaged in some recreational activities that didn't need to be engaged in a long time ago, and cut that cold turkey, cut smoking cold turkey, cut alcohol cold turkey. It's my one vice.
So crutch.
Yeah. Oh, it is horribly, and I'm slowly learning to break it. But it's my wife would buy me a 24-pack of Diet Coke every single day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, good for you breaking it. I know it's hard. There's a question from Ed Rouse Woodcrafts. What all mediums do you work with?
So I do resin casting, and I do woodworking. I haven't dabbled into steel all that much yet. What's that look for?
Do you do laser beams?
I do laser engraving, and I do CNC, and I do a lot of wood turning, cabinetry and carpentry.
It's hard, right?
That's me.
You do so much you forget.
Yeah.
But that's actually a good segue into the next question that I got for you.
I got one more. I do concrete.
Go ahead.
Concrete countertops as well.
Oh yeah, and math.
Math is a medium.
Yeah. He's always correcting us, or if we got a question, it's like, hey, let's just get a hold of the human calculator over there.
That's on me and Jake met.
Yep.
But so that being said, what is your favorite wood to work with? Why?
I do like walnut, and I do like cherry. Cherry burns a little too much for my taste. So it's for turning purposes. I like turning maple. I love turning maple. I like maple in other projects as well, but hickory. I like hickory when it comes down to cabinets. I love doing hickory cabinets. So I mean, but an all-around wood, that's probably maple is probably my favorite overall.
Nice. Real quick, Connie would like to know, what are your favorite projects to do?
So there's 2 sides to me. I like being very straight and narrow on the line on everything, and so that I like doing cabinetry and the CNC aspect of it because it's design and that is. But
it's precise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when it gets down to letting my creative side go, that's where tattooing came in. That's where doing the resin casting. That's where that all comes in. I like doing resin casting when I just want to just let it all out. So Just let my creative side flow.
Hey, so you brought it up a minute ago how we met. Do you remember? Would you tell that story and tell them how bad my moisture meter was?
Oh, it was pretty bad. I think it was 11% off. But it was
horrible.
You were being a troll at that point.
Yeah, he was being a troll. I was
no, I was not being a troll.
Yeah, you were.
I first of all, I direct messaged him. I didn't say it in front of anybody.
Yeah.
And then I said, hey, this is what I would do.
Yeah. Well, and the math worked out. So I'm like, he's right. So I couldn't be too mad about it. But go ahead, Matt. Tell it.
So one of the things that we do for my business that I work in on a daily basis is we do moisture contents. And so he was trying to dry out wood to get it dry to be able to do cactus juice into it. And he was doing through that whole thing, and he did a great job on it. He was using a moisture meter, but then he was also drying it back and he was weighing it at the same time. And when he weighed it, I could figure out right then that it wasn't dry all the way, and it wasn't the same as what the moisture meter says it was, because I did the math real quick in my head. Because throw something in front of me like that, I'm going to look it up. But so we did the calculation on it, and I think it was 11% off is what it was off. And and so then he dried it back more, and he figured it out, and it was exactly I think 11.6% off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so once it stopped losing weight, you just did the math, how much it lost, and you're like, that was how many ever percent. And the only reason I used the moisture meter was because I had it, and it didn't mean anything, but I caught that out of it, and I'm like, okay. And you did kind of troll a little bit, but you were so right, and you had a profile picture, so hey, you're not a troll.
You're helpful.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite technique? For when you're doing woodworking, so like is it cabinetry or?
I don't think I have I enjoy them all because I don't have to think about what I do day to day. When I go into my shop, it's to clear my mind of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But probably I enjoy, because I don't have to think about it too much, is wood turning. I enjoy just getting in there and just going free with wood turning.
Nice.
My next question is, as you may or may not know, Matt, you've had quite a successful video with 23 million views on it. Would I be correct in saying you've had a fair amount of trolls on there? So my question is, how do you go about handling them?
I try to handle them with the utmost respect and appreciate the fact that they have viewed my video, and I tell them that in every single one of them.
Hey, I was reading that thing the other day, and it didn't matter what they said. He goes, "Hey, thanks for watching." All right, it's the best ever. Hey, I have a follow up on that one. Like, so I don't think any of us have had a video that viral. Like, did your phone just burst into flames with all the notifications, or what did you have to do, and how was it? Like, try to explain to people how chaos that is. Yeah.
I was in Nashville, Tennessee, doing a presentation of a system that I work on here, and I was in the middle of it. I got like 15 people in the room, and it's been 9 days since I posted this video. Nothing had happened in 9 days, and didn't realize I left my phone on at all. And all of a sudden I heard bing, 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 and I'm like, dude, somebody's being rude. It was bing, 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 and it just started going faster and faster until I realized that was coming out of my bag that was across the room.
He pulled a Joey.
So I had to run across the room, turn my phone off. Yeah, it was I've never seen. I mean, it was horrible. It was wow.
I couldn't imagine. I've had some that were like fraction of viral, and I just throw it at my daughter. I'd throw it at my daughter. I'm like, handle that. Just turn it off. Get it away from me, because it will freak you out. It won't stop. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And I didn't have like I said, I didn't have a fraction of 23 million, or you had like a million a day for a while, right, or something like that. It's ridiculous.
For about 9 days, I had a million a day for about 9 days.
Golly.
Goodness. Martin First, he apologizes, doesn't want to dwell on the bad stuff in the past. But how much physical therapy did you have to go through after the accident? And do you find it still bothers you from time to time?
It does bother me from time to time. Here's the problem with it is, and I don't know that everybody knows, but I heal fast. And so when I go into surgery literally, so when I go into surgery, we had the conversation, we're going through everything. And on the 19th, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to the doctor. I said, hey, I want you to remember, we had this conversation. I heal fast. Okay. Everybody says that. I said, okay. We do the surgery. I get out of surgery. My wife drives me home, and literally I come back to work, and right after surgery, as I'm telling, we were building a trailer a mobile trailer in the middle of all this. And so that was on the 19th. On the 20, I think it was the 21st, I left for Michigan. And I went to Michigan, and legitimately, I don't know if you know what a running gear is, but it's like a trailer that hooks up to a tractor. And then you can put different things on top of it, depending on what you want to do. And my family lives out on the farm, most of my family members. And so they needed help with the running gear, driving some pins into it. And I'm sitting there with a 10-pound sledgehammer, just wailing away at this thing. My daughter tells on me. She sends my wife video of it.
Snitch.
Yeah, exactly. So my wife hits me up, what you doing? Nothing. Bull crap, I got a video right here. So and then we come back, and I'm back in Georgia to do the follow-up. And we do the follow-up, and I said, there's something wrong. He says, what's wrong? And I could do this, and this part of my arm would do this. The skin would actually move back and forth. He goes, oh, wow, you healed so fast that you grew into your skin. I said, do what? So the skin had actually adhered to the wound. Even though I was moving it that fast, it grew back to the skin. So he had to cut me back open, cut it all open, and put a slip plate on top of it. So,
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of physical therapy. I think it was about 3 months of physical therapy, and I still can't lift my hand past that. So remember, you can lift your hand back. I can't do that.
Wow.
Well, so
I can't feel my legs, Lieutenant.
So we know you like you like, or I know you like CNC and 3D printing. So this is a multi-part question to this deal here. So which one do you like? Why do you like them? Which one do you prefer to do with those machines?
As far as the CNC?
Yeah, and the 3D printing.
I like the 3D printing. I like creating and doing different designs. It gets my drafting and all the 3D design back in my head from doing that. I can do it on SketchUp pretty well. I'm not the greatest at SketchUp, but I do all right. And so being able to take that median from there and then put it straight in there from what was in my head to put it on there, and then be able to put it straight into SketchUp or into 3D printing is pretty nice. I like the CNC because it's challenging, because I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured everything out about how to do everything. So that's challenging to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna call baloney. This is my question. I'm gonna call you a liar. You're a liar. SketchUp. So people don't know that are out there. Matt and I, before I built this resin room in here, we got online, and I was telling it, we were online all the time. And what size do you want it? What did we do? And what do you want it? L-shaped, or want it this or that? He made the whole SketchUp thing, the cut list, the shopping list, everything. He got me a list from the store, how much they are, everything. I didn't have to, because if I had to figure that thing out, I would have got a couple 2x4s and then went back to the store 50 times for more. But he did everything. So I'm calling baloney on the SketchUp. So my question is, thank you, by the way, publicly again, for doing all that. And then how did you learn it? And obviously it's hard to master, but you're good at it. So why did you start learning it, and how did you try to go about learning it?
I learned it because I had already a knowledge of doing AutoCAD in high school. So back then we had a big old huge board and this big X, and you move things. It was horrible. It's a little different now, but I learned it from that. And then I watched Jay Bates had some videos, but he was much more advanced than what I was willing to listen to. He was going through it pretty fast.
He's fast, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there was Drew Short. Drew Short came on there and did it really slow, went through it, basics of how to do this, how to flip things, and how you want to orient things. And it made it really simple and it just clicked. And I picked up, I think, watched 3 or 4 of his videos, and I just picked up and started going to town. And that's when the creative juices just started coming in. And I started drawing things up and getting things done. And I think the first thing I did was my shop. And then the next thing I did major was your shop. And I did your whole entire, I didn't do just your, I did the whole entire shop, everything, all your tools, everything.
No, it turned out all right too.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. We did that in what, 6 days?
Yeah, 6 days. Yeah, and I this is what I do now. Out of this thing we built in 6 days. It's pretty amazing to come in here and know that where it came from, just an idea, and a guy that lives across the country, playing on the computer, helping you out is super cool. Super cool, even though you're a troll. So.
Yeah.
But he's a super troll that heals really
super
fast.
Troll, hey,
Exactly.
Matt, you've mentioned your wife a few times and she likes to get in the shop with you. Does she do all the different mediums with you, the laser and the I've seen her on some of your lives doing turning and all that, but will she run the CNC and everything?
No, she likes to do turning. She likes to do resin casting. And there's some other things that she's getting into. She also paints. She does a lot of painting. But for the most part, she likes turning pens. She likes turning smaller things. She likes turning smaller bowls. I think her biggest bowl to date, she did a really big one just to prove me wrong. She did a 21-inch bowl. Yeah, it was a big bowl, but she did it just to prove me that I can do it too. Sure can. In fact, I bought her a chainsaw like 3 weeks ago. So
nice. Every girl needs a chainsaw.
You bought yourself a chainsaw.
No, I did not. I have not used this chainsaw. It is a electric DeWalt chainsaw, and she loves it.
Oh. I need to use that. Okay.
So I've done a little bit of research, and my finger was hurting after all the scrolling. So you put your first post up on Instagram 291 weeks ago. Question is, what have you learned since your first post?
What have I learned since my first post? Just do it. Just put it up. I was so afraid of getting on there, and until I went to go see Jake, I don't think I ever had put my face on YouTube, Instagram, anywhere until I went to go see Jake. And then I was still a nervous wreck. So
he Ricky Bobbied his hands, man.
Ricky
I'm not doing my hands. Got her hit real nice. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5.
Made a hand. So, out of all the tools that you have, you got quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
What else would you like to add to your shop?
By far, 100%, my next big tool will be a bandsaw mill. It will be a band. I want either a LT40 from Woodmiser. I like it. I just don't know if I like all the commercial stuff that goes with it, or building my own, because the other medium I want to get into is probably steel. And so follow the path of like Macabera, something like that, building your own sawmill.
So what got you in? What got you interested in that? Is because you have trees everywhere and you're fancy with trees, or is it just like you wanted to get it? Because I'll watch those, maybe because I don't have trees. I'll watch the sawmill videos
I'm
over and over
mesmerized
and
by it.
over.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. So,
Yeah.
how do we?
I have a neighbor that's well, when I say neighbor, I think he's half a mile away. That has a bandsaw mill. He has the LT40, fully hydraulic, and he's kind of an older gentleman. And I said I could watch him for days, just for days. I bring some stuff like some cookies over for him to cut up. You know, cut it up for me so I can do some end tables and stuff. But it's mesmerizing. I could see myself doing that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can get stuck for. There was some
Yeah.
YouTube channels, and I'm just on it. And then
Yeah.
I watched them all. Like they need to get another tree on there,
Yeah.
so I can watch some more.
Yeah. Put some more on there.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to admit that when you went into cookies and bringing them over, I thought you were going to be, neighborly and bring them cookies and say, "Let me play with your sawmill." So
No.
I want to know how many people thought the same thing until you switched that around on us. Tree cookies, I got it. Wood
Yes.
cookies.
Yes.
Is there a project that didn't turn out how you wanted it to, that really kind of hurt your feelings? What would you change? What'd you learn? What would you change to make it come out how you envisioned it?
All right. So my wife asked for a desk for about 8 years, and it was, it had been a long time coming. Just had to get there. But
what was she in a hurry for?
I mean, she only had to remind me every 3 times a year.
Now I know why the backsplash came up, because I kept throwing Matt under the bus on that, like telling him you need to do that, Matt.
So this table, we did a table. It's a red oak, and we did it's 30 inches wide and 8 foot long with river table, and the river table came out perfect, exactly the way I wanted it to. And I did the round over on everything. It was an 1.5 inch round over. It was 2 inches thick, and I rounded it over, and we cast the top of it. And you have to read all the instructions on these things.
No way.
We don't read instructions.
So it said it was a 4-hour work time, but it's like I think it was a 3 or 4 day setup time. Didn't read all that. I read the 4 hours, and that's what I'm ready to go 4 hours. So I'm used to Alumilite, clear slow. And I'm going to hurry up and cast my stuff and get it done. And so we hurry up and we got it all screwed it off and got everything leveled out. And then the dust came in, and dust got everywhere, holes. If there was something in the shop, it got in it. There was flies. There was stuff. And so then I had to go back through, and I built a flattening jig, and I flattened that whole entire table. And I didn't like the way it came out, so I bought a flattening jig from Clean Cut Woodworks and flattened that whole entire table again and recasted that whole entire table. Now it turned out beautifully. It really did. But then, so that's all done. I build the legs, and I wanted to build the legs out of 3-inch stock. So, and I built the legs out of 3-inch stock, but it looked, and I didn't know what Chanel was, but it looked like, I guess, the Chanel symbol, the 2 C's crossing. That's what the legs look like. And it turned out great. It looked great. And as soon as I got it in the room, my wife said, "Yeah, it looks great. Can we put some shelves on that? Can we do this? Can we do this?" So we ended up taking the legs off and putting I spent weeks on those legs.
Oh yeah.
And but so she wanted them gone, and we got some steel legs on there with some shelves on it. And so, but yeah, there was plenty to learn on that table. Plenty to learn.
Yeah. Yep. Happy wife, happy life.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jamie.
My next one is outside of the shop. Do you have any other hobbies?
I'd have to leave my shop to do that. No, I really don't. I don't. My shop is my life. I love doing it. I mean, I spend time with the wife, and we go do things, but she knows that if we're gonna go plan to go do something, it's a 2 or 3 day thing, and that's it, because we're coming back, so I can get back in the shop. I'm always in the shop, so no,
So
and I don't think I could afford it.
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
you don't want to afford it. You want to afford more tools.
Exactly.
There you go. That's my philosophy.
Priorities.
There you go. Priorities.
You need
So-
to get yourself a DeWalt chainsaw.
Yeah. He's purposely taking all those trees in, like his wife said, because there's an end plan for that.
And sawmill.
There you go. Yeah. So knowing what you know now
Mhm.
and everything you've gone through, what would you change in your shop? Is there anything you would like to redo, go back? Something.
Yeah. There's a couple things I would change. I'd probably go a little wider in my shop. Instead of being 28, I'd probably go up 40, maybe a 40 by 40, something like that, more square, so I could actually make divisions of what I do. And I would actually make a small add-on for a paint room or a cure room or something of that nature, so I don't have to have dust, and I don't have to stop everything I'm doing to go in there. To have like Jake has his resin room, he can go out in his shop and do whatever he wants to, because he ain't got to worry about the dust getting in there. And so that would be more than helpful on some of the projects that I do. So that's the one thing I'd probably do for different.
So earlier you said that CNC and like it's hard to learn to CNC, or like you can't wrap your head around it. I guess the question is, what do you think the difference is? Is it the software? Is it that it's it's like, what's the difference?
The bits. So what bits do what, and how, and then the lines that when you set up VCarve Pro, if you're setting up how you set your tool paths up to do what on there, if it's going inside the line, going outside the line, is it taking out all the whole piece of it, or is it just taking out just that line? Learning all
Right.
those different tricks and tricks of the trade, and I just haven't gotten there yet. And,
Hey, well, all you
but,
got to do is mess it up once, and you'll
oh,
like
exactly.
you and make sure you use an expensive piece of wood, and then you'll really won't forget.
Mhm.
That's all.
He recently did that, huh? Right. Man?
Yes.
Yes.
Snitch.
A big mess up. I'm gonna get him back one of these days. He's gonna he made me do backsplash, so it's on.
Mhm.
It's not like I was hand controlling my stuff and just bottomed it out into my countertop or anything.
Yeah. Next.
Oh my goodness. What kind of laser do you have, Matt, in the working size? The bed
It's
size?
an X tool. It's the very first one they came out with, so I think it's I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's a 24 by 24, something like that. It's a very small one. It's good for doing smaller things. It'll cut out up to 1/4 inch, I believe, is where it's maxed out at. But with several passes, several passes, but it does pretty well. um, if I were to ever really get into doing the laser portion of it, I'd probably go a little bigger. But
So is that the 10-watt diode? Was that the
Yes.
original one? Okay.
yes.
Is that hold on? Is that the one Jamie has? Is that the one you have, Jamie?
I've got a 10-watt one, but it's not X tool now.
Never mind then.
Yeah.
Moving on. My next question is one of my favourite ones. So it's how has a failure or apparent failure set you up for a later success? Or another way of putting it, do you have a favourite failure?
I got some good failures on the lathe that taught me not to extend my arm out here when you're when you're turning, and it taught me how to actually properly to do the actual cutting and where to place yourself, and that was being caught in the jaw one time was enough to say, okay, you win.
Gets your attention.
Oh, real quick, like.
Hey,
Real
so
quick,
did you like right before it happened? Did you go, "Oh, I shouldn't do that"? Or was it?
Well, literally, I had my arm stuck out and I was hollowing out. There's, you can see it on my Instagram. There's 2 pumpkins and they're still attached, and I hollowed both of those out at the same time. And so I had my hollower all the way in, but I
Oof.
had my arm all the way out, and it was hickory, and it caught, and it caught me right in the side of the face, and it put me almost down to my knees, and I was just doing everything I can to try to hit the shut off. But it you got to learn, and
Yeah.
luckily I learned without making great injury.
And so, did you have the same safety equipment you had on in your bandsaw video?
What?
So, with everything that you do, what do you want to moving forward? What do you want to polish up or learn something new? Do you have something in the plans or in the works that you want to learn as far as maybe joinery or something in woodworking?
That's joinery. I love doing joinery. I love doing the like scarf joints. I love doing castle joints and stuff like that. That's very interesting to me that you had somebody way back doing stuff without screws, without nails, and they were able to join stuff together, and they're still holding on today. That's amazing to me. So learning that kind of stuff, I would really like to get more into it, and I think it takes a lot more patience to do those kind of things. So I think it helps still again try to mellow you out instead of from doing the hustle bustle day to day that you do every day when you're still got a day job.
Yeah, because you put out some videos showing how to do some of that stuff, and I've asked you before because I'm not totally aware of everything, and there's a lot to learn on it, and it is pretty interesting. When you watch some of those guys how they join that stuff, and it takes quite a bit of time and patience to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I learned a lot watching the Samurai Carpenter.
Mhm.
Hey.
He's a really good one to watch. He did that scarf joint above his deck, and that was amazing. That scarf joint that he did, it was awesome.
His videos in general are just, he does amazing stuff.
Mhm.
So you talked about lathe work is relaxing and all that kind of stuff. Did you learn on traditional tools, or do you use carbides, or what was your process on that?
So my originally my daughter bought me a class at Woodcraft, and I learned on traditional tools, and that's what I got started on. And I bought myself a set of carbide tools from Grizzly, and started learning with those, and kept working myself up. So I did a lot by watching people like Jamie, watching him turn, and learn. Asked him specifically. I think it was one of the first things I asked him is how are you cutting like that with a straight going in like that? And you're getting such a great cut off from it. He uses carbides from Easy Wood Tools, and okay. So he told me about that. It's got a rake on it, a negative rake on it. So then I learned how to cock my tool up to be able to get that same cut. So yeah, learning different things like that was great. But yeah, I originally learned off traditionals, and I'm still learning on traditionals, and then into carbides. But I'd like to be able to do both.
I like how you took that away from him. You took it right away from him. He was waiting to pounce, and you just
I know.
You pulled the rug right out from underneath him.
You got him.
Oh man, that was good.
So you have lots of options for projects in your shop, with your various tools and areas that you're interested in.
Mhm.
What do you do to get yourself out of a slump? If you're not feeling creative, what do you do to pull yourself out?
So that's if when I'm really in my juices and doing things, and then I just get stuck in a rut. Usually I'll pull out resin casting. I'll pull out just a piece of wood. I'll put it on the lathe, and I'll just start turning with it. Just to get it, you got to get your mind out of that whole. Got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do, and it just makes it so you don't want to do it. So if you can do something that you can just be creative and just a quick win how I word it. Quick wins. If you can get a quick win, then it gets you out of that slump. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 quick wins to get you out of that slump, but that's what's going to take it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different people on the YouTubes that cast lots of different things in resins. Have you ever casted anything unusual in resin? Say, I don't know, a wood turning chuck.
Yeah, I've actually casted a whole entire chuck into a piece before. Thanks for that. I completely forgot about that.
Jamie's not going to forget.
No, he's not. So one of the things you don't do is keep the chuck hooked to the wood when you're casting it. So I had a piece that had split, and I wanted to hurry up and cast it. Thought the bottom was still connected. Left the chuck on, and I taped up all around it, and I casted it. Came back the next morning to a chuck full of resin, and I had to actually buy a new chuck to finish that piece. Thanks for that, Jamie. I completely forgot about that.
He didn't get you on the negative rakes, but he got you on that one.
Yeah, he sure did.
He had a backup plan.
Really? Watch this.
Yeah. So, of all the people out on the internet, influencers or content creators, who do you look up to or who inspires you?
I grab my inspiration off from not only people on the internet, but everywhere around me. I like looking at nature and grabbing it from there, but I see different things that people do. There's a couple people out there, and I'm horrible with names, but I think it's Dusty
London Cove.
Yes, that does all the joinery. Yeah, so that's a great one for me. And I want that radial arm saw so bad.
Oh, that's awesome. That's nice. All his tools are nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's one. At first, when I first started doing this and first started getting into YouTubing, it was
still horrible at names. Still horrible names.
Still horrible names. It hadn't changed. But
just say
I'll think of it in a second. But
it's Jamie.
No, it wasn't Jamie. It was.
Wasn't you, Jamie?
And me.
So I went through that. I went through the gentleman I'm thinking of right now, and I just can't think of his name. I'll think of it in a second. But through him, there was April, and there was a couple other people, and that's how I got introduced to Jake. And Jake's been a pretty big inspiration as far as some of the stuff he's done and what he's done and how he does it, how he approaches it. So that's
no math involved in how I do it, dude. None.
Here, hold my water.
Mad scientist. What's that little saying, Jake? It's going to be different, or what?
I don't know if it's going to be better, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, there you go.
I think one last one for me is I've seen you finish your bowls and your turnings different ways. I've seen you do it with actual resin with a rotisserie and stuff like that. What's your favorite way to do it? Which way do you think turns out the best?
My favorite way is I make a paste wax that I put on there. That's my favorite way for usable. Probably the resin, but it's too glossy for me. But I do like doing I'll do a sand and sealer, and then come back through and do a couple more sandings on it, and then come back through and do a paste wax onto it. And that's how I like to seal it. That's my favorite.
Nice.
And the last one for me, what's your end goal for your shop? Do you plan on retiring and making a business out of it, or is it just a hobby where you can, support your hobby by doing some outside jobs and making money?
So yeah, originally my end goal was, oh yeah, I just want to do this full time, and I find that kind of drove me into a rut. And so I said, I want to do this full time. If it's not, I just want to do enough to be able to support what I do and just keep working at it until I get to a point where I can. Heck, I'm gonna be 65 one day, and gonna retire. Then I'll have this to fall back on or do, and keep from driving my wife crazy.
Yeah, keep you busy.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go. So I guess my last one will be you're going to a job site, you got your toolbox. What's that one tool you're always going to keep in there?
Probably my speed squares. I love my speed squares. So I have probably 20 of them in the shop, and that's my one tool, my go-to. I can do so many things with them.
Everything's square. Everything's got to be square.
Pretty much.
No level.
No stereo level.
No, there's a bunch of levels in the shop, but yeah, I like my squares.
So my last one, I guess, or maybe not, but what's your worst habit?
Being tall.
That's just genetics, Jake. So probably my worst habit is PPE. I'm not gonna lie. Putting on them safety glasses they'll be on top of my head, and I'm doing the project, and I just don't pull them down. So yeah, probably PPE. I'm horrible at it.
Hey, it helped you go get a viral video, didn't it?
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and start wrapping this up? We're getting close to the end, and just do a little roundtable and see what's going on in everybody's shop, and we'll get out of here.
Start with Matt.
Yeah.
Well, so in my shop right now, doing a lot of, like I said, cutting boards, charcuterie boards, trying to get all those out. I still have some outside projects I'm doing. I got some built-ins I got to do. And that's about it. But you'll see those posts on Instagram, YouTubes, and TikToks. Links below. Appreciate it.
As always, I'm working on a couple top secret things. It seems like that never gets to not be top secret all the time. But Wednesday, I'm taking over Lumelite's Instagram. So we have some interesting things going on there. It should be pretty cool.
Very cool.
Of course, I'm going to plug this, and I'm going to plug cartoons, and it'll all be worth it in the end. It's a process. I'll tell you what. Being the maker of the month. Here you go.
I have some family coming into town, so I'll be visiting with them, but I'll still try to get some time in the shop and play around with the laser. I have an event coming up on June 17th that I need to get some stuff made for, so I will do what I can.
Me, I've just come back from Maker Central, so I'm still on the come down from that. The adrenaline's still running a little bit, so I need to get back on the lathe and make some stuff. So yeah, I'll be putting some more videos and putting them out and all that sort of stuff. And Jake's going to let me do Saturday morning cartoons on Saturday. So that's about it.
Yeah, we got to plan a show tomorrow, buddy. Here you go.
So me, I just I'm going to start on a project out there that I've been wanting to do, which is a workbench, and got other few little things and squirrel moments that I may veer off into while doing that, but that's going to be the main thing that we're going to do. Yeah, that we're going to do is work on the workbench. But also like to let y'all know that we've got some merch out now, and there's links below. You can go on to steelbladewoodworks.net, and if you want to be like us, we'll get you one. But I want to thank everybody for showing up and hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate the questions, and thank y'all, everyone. And here we go. Bye-bye.